Mike Felicio from Solo Mode Games. Today I'm going to do a solo run-through of the game Michael Strogoff. This is based on a novel by Jules Verne, and it's an interesting game with elements of racing and hand management, and it's not really like any other game that I've played, so hopefully you'll get a pretty good idea of how it works when we head on over to the table, so why don't we do that right now. Okay, here we have the solo game of Michael Strogoff, based on the novel of the same name by Jules Verne. This is almost a complete setup. There's not a whole lot of setup to it. The couple of things I'm going to point out is that each of these location decks are shuffled and placed on corresponding areas that will relate to particular routes along this journey that you're taking. At the top here, you've got what's called the Samara card. I believe it's Samara. And in the solo game, one difference is that it's turned to a backside. This is the side that'll be up for a multiplayer game. In a solitaire game, one of the few differences to setup is that this will be placed face down or reversed. The Tartars are placed in spot number 9 with the 3 pip showing on the die. These action cards have been shuffled. These ally cards have been shuffled. To complete setup, we'll just draw randomly the top card. It is Nicholas Pigasoff, and he'll go into the A spot there. My little player board is right here. I start at 6 health, and I am choosing a side that's got a starting ability. If I roll a 2 on the die during an activity or abilities phase, I'll be able to draw a card. There is an opposite side that starts with no abilities. That's slightly more difficult. Just in the interest of trying to show you more of the game, hopefully get through the whole thing, I'll play it on the slightly easier side. It gives me a starting little ability that might trigger. Essentially, this is a race game to an extent with some hand management involved. Here's my character starting here in Moscow. I'm going to be trying to get along this journey into Siberia, the last spot of the journey, which I believe is Irkutsk. And I'm going to apologize in advance for any butchering of pronunciation that I get. I'm trying to do that before the traitor, Ivan Ogarev, is going to be traveling along this route. And you'll see how that happens. And so basically I'm trying to get here before he does, because if he gets to the last spot, then the Tartars start marching towards Moscow. And if they get there before I can get here and defeat the traitor, then I have lost the game. I win the game by getting here and having a final battle against the traitor, and hopefully you'll see how that goes. We'll see. The only other difference in a solitaire game is that you place the traitor on a spot that's corresponding to the number of players. This goes from 1 to 5. So he's going to start at the closest spot to his final destination by going in the spot for 1. The final thing needed to complete setup is I take the random top card from the Moscow deck and place it to the right here, which is going to give a starting danger that needs to be kind of dealt with. In this case, it's a map, and you'll see how that works. I'm going to have to play cards from my hand to resolve that danger if I want to move along on the journey. Okay, so this goes here in my line up. I'll have a line of cards that go, and then I'm going to draw 5 cards from this event deck, and they're upside down. These 5 cards are going to form my starting hand. I'll explain how these go. In a multiplayer game, you'd want to keep these secret, but in a solo game, it doesn't apply. Obviously, I'm the only one that's going to be dealing with these cards, and so you can see there are icons in the top left of each of these cards. Let me see if I can get that a little bit more in focus here. Icons on the top left of each of these cards, and they can correspond to dangers along your journey. If you don't have, you may remember I had a map on my first route card there, and I don't have any maps here. So there are other ways to resolve dangers that I can show you. You can spend 2 icons of the same type. So I have these 2 icons here that are the same. I could spend those 2 to resolve a danger. I could lose one of my life points to resolve a danger if I chose to do so. I believe there's one other way, but I'll get to that when need be. Okay, so setup is complete. I've got my starting hand of cards. I'm on the starting spot. The trader's on the starting spot. And now I can do my actions, my couriers phase, as it's called. The first thing that I can do is I can use the help of an ally here, which is any of the allies that are available. Right now there's only one. This is an optional step. You don't have to do this. If you choose to do it, you can. To be able to use the ally's ability, you have to have a card of that type in your hand. At this time, I don't have a card with Nicholas on there, so I can't use that ability even if I wanted to. All right? So then I can do one action, or I have to do one action. It's a mandatory action. I can either advance, or I could rest, or I could resolve dangers. Now, to advance, I'm double checking here. I'm making sure here. Yes. I wanted to make sure that you could advance if you have dangers, and of course you can, because that's going to kind of what adds this little push your luck element. So you can advance, rest, or resolve dangers. So at this point, my option is, do I want to go ahead and resolve this to make my journey a little bit safer, or do I want to advance? And I think I'm going to push my luck a little bit, and I'm going to advance. So to do so, you reduce 1 energy point from your character board, so I go down to 5 health. Okay, I move my meeple onto the next spot of the journey, and then I take a card from the corresponding route deck, which in this case is this card. Now, at this point, I check. And if there was something called an immediate danger, I could resolve that, which would have a black background, which this does not. Okay, and then I check for penalties. If I had any repeated icons along the top, it would suffer penalties denoted in a particular area of the card. So in this case, the 2 items on my journey are different. We don't have repeated icons here. I've got this little mask, and I've got this map here. But if these were either 2 maps or they were 2 masks, then I would have to, sorry, I'm having trouble with focusing here, I apologize. There we go. Well, no, there we go. I would have to do the corresponding penalties. In this case, I'd have to discard a card from my hand, or I'd have to flip this card face down, and you can't advance if there are any cards face down along your path. Okay, so right now I'm okay. I have 2 cards here that don't have a repeated icon, so I don't have to worry about suffering penalties. Okay, now it is what's called the trader's phase. And so what you do is you draw an action card from the deck here, and you resolve some actions based on the bottom of the card. Okay, in this case, it's going to tell you how many spaces to move the trader, and here we're going to see it is 1 space, then a potentially second activity here, which in this case is going to be bringing Samara, with flipping her card over in the solo game, and then moving the Tartars to a particular space. Okay, so first thing you do is move the number of spaces, so he moves 1 space closer. The Samara card is going to get flipped over. Now, if that symbol shows up again, she's going to come into my path here. All right, and I don't want that to happen. Then this moves to 8. So this is going to move from space 9 where it starts to 8. And down here at the bottom, you have a modifier. In this case, it's 0, so nothing happens to the numbers of pips on the die. It just stays where it is. Okay, so that's a full turn, and I was maybe a little too verbose. I'll go much quicker from here on out, and you'll kind of see the path of the game as we start with my next turn in the couriers phase. Okay, so now we're at the beginning of my next turn, my couriers phase, and I have to think about, am I willing to take a risk to move forward? And I've now got 2 danger icons showing. Drawing another card, it's a pretty fair chance that I draw another one of those and trigger some issues. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and I'll spend, I will resolve dangers. I can't ask for the help of an ally because I don't currently have a Nicholas card in my hand. So I'll discard a couple of these. They have the same kind of scar symbol up there. I'll do that to resolve this danger. This is considered the most recent card. These little spots here to cover it up. Now, when there's only one on the card, you don't really have to do it because it's going to get removed right away. So I resolved this danger. Now, what I can do is now take this card and slide it underneath my player mat here to have, to have an additional ability potentially. The first thing that you see is a little draw card icon. That happens immediately. So I draw one of these action cards to add to my hand. Now I slide this underneath and I've got an ability where if I want to discard this card, I can take 2 advanced steps if I choose to. At any point in the game, I can discard that card to take 2 advanced steps. Now I still have to go through all of the processes involved with that, but that is potentially useful to me. All right, so I resolved dangers. I went ahead and took that card. If you resolve more than one card on your journey, you can choose which of those cards you're going to keep as an ability. You can't keep them all. You can only pick one of them. All right. So I resolved dangers. It's now the trader's phase. We're going to look at this guy. Oh boy, very, very unlucky for me because Samara has come up twice in a row. So now this, the trader moves forward 1. Samara now comes into my line. Luckily, I got rid of the other card with that mask. That would have caused me some problems. And now they move to 10. Still a 0 on the modifier there, so I don't need to worry about anything there. Okay, so I can advance, although there's a little bit of a risk there. I could also rest, which could either give me 2 cards, it could give me a health, or it can flip over a card that was previously flipped. Or I could try to resolve a danger. Only issue being is that I don't have any of these mask icons. All right. I do have one of the maps, but this is no longer my most recent card in the past, so I couldn't spend the 1 there. I'd have to spend 2 or spend a health to do that. So I think what I'll do is I'll rest. I'm going to draw 2 cards. I can have up to a hand of 7. So I get 1 and 2, and unfortunately I still didn't get a mask, but I did get a purple card, which could help me, as you'll see in a moment. And I also got 2 of the same icon here, which could help me as well. All right, so I rested. I am still within my hand limit. Now we move him forward, and I kind of lucked out there because the Samara has come up 3 times in a row. Well, not 3 in a row, 3 out of 4 cards. And so now she actually leaves my my line. She goes back, okay? She's summoned back to report and returns to the side of the board face down. That actually helped me out quite a bit. All right, this goes back to 8, and it stays. We have not adjusted. It's gone between 8 and 10, which are our 0 on the modifiers there. Okay, so now I'm in much better shape. I think what I'm going to do is, I'm considering just advancing. I could get rid of this by playing this ally card I have right here, which would then put it underneath my deck, and then I could advance without any concern at all. And so maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that. For my ally phase, which is optional, I'll go ahead and discard this Nicholas card. That's going to, the ability here is to cover up 1 damage, or excuse me, 1 danger. And so I'm going to do that. That's this one. Okay, now I believe, I'm going to double check, but I believe I don't actually get to claim that card because it wasn't done during the, during this. Yeah, I cannot acquire it as an ability. So this just gets discarded, but that's okay because it's a duplicate ability to what I already had. And now I will advance. I move forward. I flip over this card. All right, and this has a little hat here that I can potentially deal with on the next turn. All right. So that's it. I advanced. Now we're going to have the trader phase. Now I could have discarded this card to advance twice. And I tell you, I'm almost wondering if I want to do that. Almost wondering if I want to do that. At any time After performing a successful advance action, they can discard this ability in order to immediately perform another advance. Oh, I needed to spend a health there to do that. Almost forgot that. So I'm going to do that. I'll discard this. I'll pay another health, and I'm going to move forward. And now we've got another one here. Okay, we've got a injured hand. All right. So now we've done that. We're going to go to the trader's phase. We move him one space forward. I draw a card. All right. And now they go to 11, which is a -1 on the modifier, so the dice is at a 2. The die is at a 2. And I'll explain to you how that might come into play. It really only comes into play when I get to the point where I'm getting close to potentially meeting up with those Tartars there. I want that number, theoretically, to be as low as possible. All right? Okay, well, let's see here. I could resolve this and this by spending 2 wagon wheels for this and the 1 hat for that. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to spend 2 wagon wheels, 2 of the same symbol, not the one that's needed, but I'll discard 2 of those. This is going to get resolved. I'll discard my helmet. It's going to resolve this one. And now I can choose one of these abilities, excuse me, to give me a potential help. In this case, if I roll a 1, then I would be able to put a marker over a danger. Here, if I roll a 5, I get an extra health. I like that one, so I'm going to go ahead and take that one, slide it underneath my card. Okay, so that has been done, and now we're going to go to the trader's phase. Clean this up a little bit. Wow, he's going to move forward 3. 1, 2, 3, that's not great. I roll the die. For the first time you see this little die marker there. That means I get to roll the die, and hopefully I get a 2 or a 5. I got a 2, so I get to draw a card. That's nice. And then the Tartars move to 8. We keep staying on these 0 or -1 modifiers. That's actually very helpful to me, okay? And so now it is back to my turn. I'm running low on health. Excuse me, health. I may need to keep that in mind here. Okay, I'm getting to the point where I'm looking into moving into different decks here. And as you move farther along the journey, they get a little bit more difficult. You have double symbols on your cards, as you'll see here in a moment. I think what I'll do, even though I'm low on health, I'm going to go ahead and risk it. And I'm going to spend a health. I'm going to move forward and draw from this deck. This is the only space where you're drawing from this deck. Flip over the card. It's got an immediate that I can solve right away and another one. Now I happen to have, thankfully, map cards, so I'm going to go ahead and spend that, place a marker over that. Okay. And now I've advanced. We're going to do the trader phase. All right. There we go. The traders move forward 1. I roll the die. A 5 would be splendid. I got a 3, which gives me nothing. And we move to 10, staying on that 0 modifier. All right. Well, I'm thinking I'm going to rest here. I'm a little bit low on health. I'm low on cards. And let's see here. Oh, you know what? I shorted myself on that last ability. When I rested, you're supposed to do 2 things. You can do the same thing twice. It's draw 2 cards, heal yourself, or flip over a card. Last time I rested, I only drew 2 cards. I'm going to go ahead and counteract. Hopefully you don't mind there. I should have had a choice to heal myself, and so I'm going to do that now. And so I think I'm going to rest again, and what I'm going to do is the same thing. I'm going to heal for 1 and draw 2 cards. And that's that, and that's that. Okay. All right, now it is the trader's phase. We're going to move forward 1. And now, for the first time, we see an ally marker here. We see the letter A. You have to take my word for it. And that means that this, since there's already an ally in A, that's going to get discarded. We're going to put out a new ally, which is Captain Strogoff, which has an ability where if you play, you have to play 2 of his cards. If you have them, you can play 2 of his cards, and then you can perform 2 different actions on your turn. So that's pretty powerful, but you have to have 2 Michael Strogoff cards in your hand. I currently don't. All right. And we move to 9, in which this case is going to finally move the tip up +1. So now the Tartars are in space 9. All right. Well, I could resolve the danger here, or I could potentially advance. I think I'm going to... Wow, the penalty here is awful. If I move here and a map shows up, I have to flip this card over and take 2 cards out of my hand. Maybe I just play it safe and go ahead and resolve that danger. I'm going to do that. I'll discard this map. That goes away. The second spot goes on there, which basically this card is going to go away. It does not have an ability that I can take, so unfortunately I'm just going to discard it over here. And now we'll go to the trader phase. All right, he's going to move forward 1. We're going to roll the die here. We got a 5, that's terrific. And then they move to 10, which keeps the modifier as is. Okay, I'm definitely going to advance. I have no dangers in front of me here. So let's spend a health. Let's move forward and draw from this new deck. It has a immediate danger of the map, which I don't have a map, so I can't do that immediate danger. I can't resolve that. All right. So that's that. If I had a map, I could resolve that immediate danger, but I don't have that, so that doesn't work. Okay. All right, now we are going to go to the trader phase. He's going to move forward 2, unfortunately. He's going very quickly. We're going to roll the die. I got a 1, which does nothing for me, and they're going to move to 7. Ooh, moves very close to me, but it goes down 1. So now, here's an interesting situation. When the Tartars move on to you, that's something that's bad. You don't want them to move into a space that you're already at. If you move on to a space with them, then potentially it's okay if the die number is low. And, you know, I can explain that as we get to it, but I'm wondering at this point, do I want to advance to potentially deal with them? However, it's very dangerous for me to do that when I've got dangers on my journey here. All right. I can't do the ally phase. I don't have 2 of the Captain Strogoff cards. So I'm really considering resting, although I really like having him that low, that close to me. So let me think what I want to do here. Yeah, okay, after thinking about it, I don't know that it's in my best interest at this point to try to advance. Really what happens is if you go to their spot on your turn, you have to roll the action die, and if you get equal to or higher, you've defeated them and you get to take an action card as your kind of reward there. I don't know if the benefit is worth it for me at this point because they can't move on to my spot yet. I think the lowest number they move on to, I believe, is 7. So at this point, I think I'm going to bide my time. I'm going to go ahead and rest. I'll heal 1 and draw 2 cards. Okay, I got a second Michael Strogoff card, which could be helpful. All right, and plenty of hand cards. Okay, so that actually was helpful to me. Now we go to trader phase. He's going to move forward 1. I roll this. I got a 5. That's terrific. Heal up. And then they're going to move to 9, which is going to move this up 1. All right, so now I think I've got some things I can work with here. Do I want to go ahead and resolve this danger? I think I do. So first thing I can do is, wow, I can actually discard both of these Strogoff cards to do 2 I think I'm going to do that. So ally phase, I'm going to discard both of these. And now I can do 2 different actions on my turn. The first thing I'm going to do is resolve dangers. I'm going to spend this hand to cover that. I'm going to spend these 2 hands to cover this. All right, so now that card has been completely dealt with. And then for my second action, I'm gonna rest and I'm gonna draw 4 cards because you can draw 2 cards twice. So I'll draw up. So I have 1, 2, 3, lots of wagon wheels, and 4. All right, so now this has been dealt with. I can place it underneath, and so now I've got 2, 3, 4, and 5 as potential numbers that help me. All right, that's good. Go to the trader phase. He's gonna move forward 2, which is very unfortunate. We're gonna roll the die and see if I can get some benefits. I got a 3, which makes me draw a card, which is great. All right, and now they move to 11, which brings this pip down to 2. So I'm happy that the pip number is so low on the Tartars. That's great. And I've got plenty of health, so let's move forward. See if I can start making some gains on him. So I've spent a health, I move forward. The immediate effect is a scar. Unfortunately, I don't have a scar card, so I can't do anything there. All right, go to the trader phase. It's gonna move forward 1. I've got the ally B. There's no one in the B, so this just comes out. This is, let's see if I can pronounce this. Alcide Jolivet. If you play one of his cards during the ally phase, you can draw 2 cards, which I might go ahead and do. All right, and then we move to 9, so +1 there. So now they can move into my spot, so I've really got to be conscious of that. That's not a good thing. You really don't want that to happen. All right, so I think what I'll do first is play this for my ally phase to draw 2 cards. Let me make sure I'm playing that as the correct ability. I'm just double checking the rule book, but it looks pretty clear to me. Yes, draw 2 action cards, and that keeps me under my hand limit. All right, drawing cards. Okay, I believe what I want to do now is go ahead and resolve dangers. All right, so I've got 1 kind of lightning symbol there to cover that up. I'll play 2. I could actually lose a health. I've got plenty of health. But yeah, do I want to do that? Yeah, I'll do that. I'll spend a health to resolve that one. That card is completely taken care of, and now this is going to go underneath, and now I'm in a pretty good shape where 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 will get me something positive. All right, I spent that. All right, and now we go to the trader phase, and I really don't want to see a 7 show up on their movement. I did not, thankfully. This is going to move forward 1. We're going to roll the die. Get a 6, which gives me a health. Wonderful, I just gained that ability. And now we go to 9. It's already in 9, so you just adjust the pip. So that's at 4. All right, I'm going to advance. Seems like a pretty clear move. Boy, I've had horrible luck with the immediate dangers. That's a map. I do not have a map, so I can't discard 1 to place that there. I'm going to have to deal with that on my next turn. All right. And then we go to the trader phase, and I'm hoping an 8 doesn't show up. It did not. We move forward 1. Samara is going to get turned over, and they move to 11, which is going to knock this down to a 3. All right. Back to me. Do I want to try to resolve this? Or do I take a chance and... Yeah, I'm gonna push my luck here. I'm gonna spend a health. I'm gonna go here, flip that over, and that was not, unfortunately, not a good move. All right. So now, for the first time, I've got some matching symbols there during the danger phase, so to speak. So what I'm going to need to do is take these penalties that come up. All right, unfortunately, that's not a good thing. We're going to be flipping over cards, okay? They all have to be checked. Activate the penalty for all the cards from left to right. So this means turn this card face down. This means turn this card face down. They both get turned face down, and I'm going to have to use a rest to flip those back up. All right. Now we go to the trader phase. and I'm in trouble. He moves forward 1. I roll the die, which is a 4, which gives me a card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so I can take another card. All right. And now he's moving on to my spot. So this is very, very unfortunate. This leads to a blinding. Okay, it's called a blinding. And I'll explain how that works right now. Okay, when the Tartars move on to your spot during the trader phase, there is a blinding. It's apparently a custom. I take the top card from this route deck. It's going to be placed to the left side of my journey, meaning that I can never resolve it during the Resolve Dangers effect during a turn. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be causing my journey to be more and more difficult because I can't see. I can imagine how that would make your journey more difficult. The only time it can get dealt with is during the final battle if you get there. So I'm going to draw this top card. I've got a wagon wheel and I've got a lightning bolt, and those are always going to be kind of dragging me down. I'm going to have to always have those messing with me on my turns. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. And so now we are back to my turn. I'm going to have to take a rest to turn these cards back over. All right. So I can do that. I can turn over 2 cards with a rest, turn this over, turn this over, and I'm going to have to deal with those cards for sure. All right. Now, the only positive here is that once you're blinded, you really don't have to worry about the Tartars anymore. I'm still going to move them around because it's going to affect potentially endgame where they are, because they may be marching towards Moscow. But they can't blind me anymore. They figure that I'm pretty much left for dead. I move him forward. I've got a B on the ally track, so Al-Sid's going to go away, and it's going to be replaced with Harry Blunt, which is, if you spend one of his cards, you can look at the next card of your journey and either keep it at the top or place it at the bottom. That's a nice ability. I like that quite a bit. I do have a couple of his cards if I want to use them. They go to 10. All right, no modifier there. I'll do the modifier even though I don't think it's really going to apply at this point. All right, I've got to deal with these dangers here for sure. So first thing, do I want to, well, no, I won't do that yet. I'll spend this card to cover this up. I will spend this card to cover this up. So that's been resolved. And now this is the most recent card on my journey. Boy, I'm in a rough spot where I really can't deal with those very easily unless I want to spend 2 health to do so. And I don't know that I want to do that because I don't have any matching icons on my cards, which is very, very unfortunate. So I think for the time being, what I'll do is I'll just deal with that that particular card. I will take this as an ability. It gives me a card right away. I can discard it at any point to turn 2 cards face up. That would have been nice earlier. I'll get my immediate card. All right. Now we go to the trader phase. Oh, he moves forward 3. 1, 2, 3. The farther they get, the more difficult it gets to defeat them in a final battle. I roll die, I get a 4, which is going to give me an extra card. Still keeps me underneath where I need to be. All right. All right. Then they move to 8. Just going to go right there. All right. I'm very concerned with I'm getting there first. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the ally ability, all right, of Harry. I'm going to take a look at the next card here and see I've got, well, actually this one's okay because it doesn't repeat any symbols. So I'm definitely going to keep that at the top and I'm going to advance. So I spend a health, I advance here, flip this card that I've already seen over, and I know that I have no repeated symbols here, so I'm okay in that sense. Now I am going to have to deal with these things, but not right away. All right, here we go. He moves forward 1. Samara moves down here, which is awful. Now, even though we've got a repeated symbol here, it doesn't trigger now. This would only trigger when you advance, okay, thankfully. And this stays at 8. All right, boy, do I have to deal with some issues here. So I think what I'm going to have to do is spend these 2 cards to get Samara out of here. That's awful. That's a waste. She goes back. I'll spend this to cover this up. I'll spend a health, which is probably horribly dangerous, to cover that up. This is going to go away. I'm going to put it underneath my card here. And I'm hoping I've got 3 different rolls that can get me some health. And I know I'm low on health, but I feel like if he gets a quick movement, I'm going to be in big trouble. He gets a 1. I get an ally in D, which is Nadia Fedor, which I can discard a yellow card, one of hers, to roll the dice, which could be potentially very good. This goes to 10, which normally would be bad, but again, they've already blinded me. They've left me for dead. They're not really concerned about me. All right. All right. Now I need to rest. There's just no 2 ways about it. Or I can look ahead. Do I want to look ahead first and see if there's any possibility that I could potentially... Let's do it. This might be stupid, but I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the next card on this journey here and see if there's any possibility that we don't have repeats. Wow, we don't. We don't. Okay, I'm going to keep that at the top. I can't advance because I'm at 1 health. But I know now that on my next turn, I'm safe to advance. So I'm going to heal. Or I'm going to rest. I'm going to heal up 1. I'm going to draw 2 cards. All right. And now we go to the trader phase. They move forward 1. We're going to get an ally in C, which is Marfa Strogoff, which is a very, very powerful card as you get to the end game. And then they go to 9. This is going to go to 4. All right. Now, I know I can advance here because the symbols don't repeat. So I'll go ahead and do that. There's an immediate danger that I can finally resolve by playing this Scar card. Although that's a Marfa card, which is very, very powerful if we get to this spot. All right. Now it is the trader's turn. They move forward 1. Samara gets flipped over. And they go to 8. Okay, well, I'm in a dangerous spot here because I know that they're going to be moving the trader, Ivan Ogarev, is going to be moving into Irkutsk on this turn, no matter what I do. And once they do that, then the Tartars start moving towards Moscow. And if they get there before I can get here and defeat him, then I've lost the game. So I really need to be careful here about what I do. I don't have a card to look at what the next spot is. Oh, I don't draw a root card, actually. I go into a final duel. So I need to get some cards, I think. I need to get some cards. But I am going to have to resolve these before I can do the final duel. So I need cards in a bad way. All right. So let's see here. What do I want to do? I think I need to heal. So, I know I'm going to need cards. I have a card for that. That'll get taken care of. I don't have any cards for that. So I'm going to draw 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm at my hand limit, so I'm okay. Now, it's going to move forward 1. This actually helps me tremendously. The Tartars get moved to 11. He moves into this final space. I draw a card. I'm going to have to discard one of these. I want to keep this because I need that. I wish I had a map here. I need to keep a wagon wheel, which I don't have. I need to keep this for sure. I need to keep this for sure. So I'm going to discard one of these, which is probably going to be this one. All right, so now I'm back at 7. All right. Actually, let me make sure I do this right. Those go to 11. All right. Okay, so now at this point he has Ogareff has moved into the last space, and that kind of triggers a different part of the game, which I'll explain. Okay, so now that Ogareff has reached Irkutsk, things have gotten very, very dicey for me. When I get to a trader phase, I no longer draw a card. What I do is I roll this action die. I activate any abilities I may have, and then I'm going to move the Tartars that many spaces forward towards Moscow. This is why it was actually extremely helpful that they moved to 11 on his last turn, because now they've got a further way to go. So I've got potentially 3 to 4 turns to get to Irkutsk and have a final battle with Ogareff, but it's not going to be easy. I need to have all of the symbols. I can't spend 2 cards. I need to either have the exact symbol or spend a health to be able to do these. Then, once I have completed all of these, including the blinding card, I have to draw, in this case, 5 cards one by one from this deck, and I have to be able to resolve all of them, either by playing cards from my hand or losing an energy point. And if I can get through all 5 of those cards by resolving the dangers with at least 1 energy point left, I've won. Otherwise, I've lost. So it's getting really dicey here. So I'd love to be able to just go into Irkutsk right now, but I don't really have the cards to do it. I've got this seal, I've got the mask, but I don't have a map. So I can't, that's really that, and I also don't have a wagon wheel. So I need to heal at this point to try to get health and cards. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw 2 cards. The scar does nothing for me, and this hat does nothing for me. Although I'm going to keep this hat because it kind of does actually help as a gray ability, which I'll explain if I get to that point. So I'm going to discard that, and I'll discard a scar, I suppose, to get myself down to 7. So that was 2 cards. I think for my second action, my second help, or rest, excuse me, I'll take an energy and hope for the best. All right, now I roll. Let me try that again. A 2. A 2 gets me a card. That's all that gets me. Could be helpful. It's a mask, so it kind of is, kind of isn't. Although I'll keep that because I like that yellow ability, and I'll get rid of this blue card. All right. Oh, I needed to move this forward too on that last turn. All right. Okay, here we go. 3, I get a card, and I get a health. I'm going to have to shuffle these. Let me just go ahead and pause the camera here so I can shuffle those. Okay, so I shuffled those cards so that I can draw. It is a lightning, which does, well, I already had a lightning. So does that really help me? Not tremendously. And now I've got to move them 3. 1, 2, 3. Theoretically, if I roll a 5 on my next turn, I could lose. So I've got 3 health. I can complete that. I can complete that. I'd have to spend 1 health for that. I could complete that, and I'd have to spend a 2nd health for that. That would get me down to 1 health. Oy. So here's what I'm going to do. Oh boy. Yeah. I'm going to try this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use her ally ability, which allows me to roll this die, and hopefully it's something that can really help me. It's a 4. It's going to allow me, that is helpful. It's going to allow me to draw a card and gain a health, okay? The hat is not terribly helpful to me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can keep it though. All right, it might be helpful to me in a final battle. So now that 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I really lucked out there. I've got to advance here. I've really got no choice. All right, so I spend a health. I go in, and we're going to have our final battle. First thing I need to do is get rid of these cards. So I'm going to spend this to get rid of that. I'm going to spend this to get rid of that. I don't have a map, so I've got to spend a health to get rid of that. I'm going to spend this to get rid of that. And I don't have a wagon wheel, so I'm going to spend health to get rid of, oops, sorry Nadia, to get rid of that. All right. So Now we have our final battle. If any of these cards show a direct attack, I've lost because I can't block a direct attack. I've got 1 health, so it's very, very unlikely, but hey, we'll give it a shot. Let's see what happens. First card, I flip it over, and I've got a map. Well, I don't have any map, and it has to be the exact icon. I don't have it. Oh, actually, nope, let me take that back. These gray cards can be used as a... I'm glad I thought of that. It's at least going to make it a little more exciting. The gray cards can be used as a wild when you're in Irkutsk, as long as she's out there. So I'm going to spend this one to resolve that card. All right, now we go to card 2. Another map. All right, I've got 1 more Marfa card that I can spend, so I got through 2. I've got to roll the die, and I have to get a result equal to or greater than that, so I need to roll a 4, 5, or a 6. I've got a 50-50 chance, and if I do, then I keep going. If not, I have to lose an energy point, and in this case, losing an energy point kills me. 4, 5, or 6, hey! All right. Card 4, a scar. Well, I got close. Don't have a scar in my hand. Don't have any more Marfa cards. I have to lose my last energy. Hey, I gave it a good run. I got through 4 of the 5 cards that I needed. If I had been able to get here in this spot, I would have only had to draw these 4 cards. Actually, I would have needed to be in here because I only got through 3. 4th one killed me. So, hopefully you got a pretty good idea of the game, and you can see why there's a bit of a race element, because if you can get to Irkutsk while Ogarev is still in this range, you only have to deal with 3 cards, which is much more manageable, as you can see, than 5. But every time I've played, he's been in this area. I've never been able to get... I have won, but I've never been able to win by dealing with less than 4 of his cards. So anyway, hopefully you got a pretty good idea of how the game plays. It's a really unique game. It's not like anything else I've played before. The multiplayer game plays very similarly. It's a competitive game where you're all kind of racing not only Ogarev, but you're racing each other to get to that last spot in Irkutsk to get that final battle taken care of. So pretty interesting and unique game. Hopefully you enjoyed watching. I certainly appreciate your time as always, and I hope you have a great day.